You're the most powerful person in a narcissist's world the moment you stop needing them. And what they do next will either make you feel guilty for leaving or prove every single reason you had to go. If you're new here, this channel is dedicated to helping you understand the psychology behind toxic relationships. Hit subscribe and leave notifications on because this is the kind of content nobody teaches you in school. Here's something most people don't talk about. Narcissists don't grieve the way normal people do. They don't sit with loss. They weaponize it. The moment you walk out that door, the moment you finally choose yourself, a very specific, very predictable sequence of events begins playing out on their end. And once you see it, you genuinely cannot unsee it. So let's walk through all 5 stages, one by one. The first thing a narcissist does after you leave is act like you didn't. Not internally. Internally, they felt the ground shift the second you stopped being available. But externally, they put on a show. Suddenly, they're posting more, laughing louder, looking fine. This isn't healing. This is a performance staged entirely for an audience of one, you. Psychologists call this a narcissistic injury, and it's essentially the ego going into emergency mode. The narcissist's entire sense of self depends on feeling chosen, admired, needed. When you remove that, the system doesn't just hurt, it panics. And panic in a narcissist looks a lot like indifference. Don't be fooled by the highlight reel. The silence you get after leaving is rarely peace. It's loading. Stage 2 is where things get interesting, and this is where most people get pulled back in. The Hoover. Named after the vacuum brand because that's exactly what it is. A calculated attempt to suck you back into the dynamic. This might look like a text at an odd hour, "I've been thinking about us," a sudden interest in your well-being after months of emotional neglect, or, and this is the classic, a total reinvention. They're in therapy now. They've changed. They finally understand what they did wrong. Here's the hard truth. Roughly 72% of people in narcissistic relationships return at least once before finally leaving for good. That's not weakness. That's the result of a very sophisticated psychological pull that was designed, consciously or not, to keep you tethered. The Hoover works because it doesn't appeal to your logic. It appeals to the version of you that genuinely loved them and still holds out for the version of them you believed existed. If the Hoover doesn't work, and if you hold your ground, stage 3 arrives, and it's the least subtle of all 5. Rage. This might come as direct attacks, insults, accusations, telling mutual friends things that aren't true, or it might be quieter, a slow, deliberate smear campaign designed to rewrite the narrative so that you become the villain. Why? Because a narcissist leaving a relationship on their own terms is a story they can live with. A narcissist being left, chosen against, discarded, is a story that shatters their entire self-concept. The anger isn't really about you. It's about what you represent, proof that they're not as untouchable as they needed to believe. Stage 4 comes faster than you expect, and it stings more than it should. The new person. Within weeks, sometimes days, there's a new person, and they're not subtle about it. This is deliberate. Narcissists move on at a speed that feels inhuman because they're not actually processing the relationship, they're replacing the supply. The attention, the admiration, the sense of control, they just need a new source. Psychologists call this narcissistic supply, and it functions almost like an addiction. The new relationship isn't a sign that they've moved on healthily. It's a sign that they couldn't tolerate being alone with themselves for a single moment. Fun fact worth knowing, studies on narcissistic personality traits consistently show lower activity in the brain regions associated with empathy, meaning the emotional weight you carried out of that relationship, they were never carrying an equal share of it to begin with. This is the stage nobody tells you about because it doesn't look like what you expect regret to look like. It's not a tearful apology. It's not a moment of genuine accountability. It's a slow, private recognition that the person who truly saw them, who tried hardest, who stayed longest, is gone, and they can't get them back. This regret doesn't usually come with changed behavior. It comes with a kind of restlessness, a pattern of cycling through new relationships and finding them hollow, a strange inability to stop bringing you up, even years later, to people who never even knew you existed. It's not love exactly, it's the ghost of the control they once had, and the unbearable awareness that they lost it by choice. Walking away from a narcissist doesn't mean the story ends cleanly. It means you finally stopped being a character in someone else's story and started writing your own. These 5 stages aren't a roadmap for going back, they're proof that your leaving mattered, even if you never hear them admit it. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 stages have you actually witnessed? Drop it in the comments. And if someone in your life needs to see this, share it with them. Sometimes the most helpful thing you can do is send a video without saying a word.